welcome to my little corner. First video ever. Woo! I am very excited to be reading and reacting to our sort of stories here on this channel, and hopefully you will be joining me too. Okay, tonight I will be reading some horror stories, short horror stories from a BuzzFeed article that I found online. The article is from 2014. I will link the article in the description below if you're interested to checking it out for yourself. Tagline for the channel? I don't know. I'm in the walls, but actually, I'm in your walls. Now here's for some weekly affiliate. The main goal is to retire my parents. And obviously this channel won't be making any money anytime soon. So here's this week Amazon product. Alright. We have here flushable wipes from Amazon Basics. I hope you're wiping your asses even after using public restrooms. But these are flushable and will leave you feeling fresh, clean, comfortable after you've done your business. So you don't have to worry about being all uncomfy and sticky, dirty feeling in your seats for the rest of the day. Trust. It's really good. For the price it is anyways. Right, it comes in 3 packs. I usually carry them in my purse or my bag or whatever to use it for the restroom, also using it to wipe surfaces, wipe table, wipe chairs, also wiping my hands. So I will be linking the product in the description below if you guys are interested in staying clean and wiping your asses or wiping whatever you needed to wipe. Thank you for your support, and hopefully you'll also like the product like I do. Without further ado, we will be reading the first story. My daughter learned to count. My daughter woke me up around 11:50 last night. My wife and I had picked her up from her friend Sally's birthday party, brought her home, and put her to bed. My wife went into the bedroom to read while I fell asleep watching the Braves game. "Daddy?" she whispered, tugging my shirt sleeve. "Guess how old I'm going to be next month?" "I don't know, Beauty," I said as I slipped on my glasses. "How old?" She smiled and held up 4 fingers. "It is 7:30 now. My wife and I have been up with her for almost 8 hours. She still refuses to tell us where she got him." Okay, that's wild. Okay, anyways, continue. Literally, I'm filming at 12:51 a.m. right now. In my closet. Okay, next story. Yeah, these are very short, guys. So we're gonna breeze past this, right? Since it's the first video and I'm just trying to see how things goes. Second story. I hate it when my brother Charlie has to go away. My parents constantly try to explain to me how sick he is, that I am lucky for having a brain where all the chemicals flow properly to their destinations like undammed rivers. When I complain about how bored I am without a little brother to play with, they try to make me feel bad by pointing out that his boredom likely far surpasses mine, considering his confined to a dark room in an institution. I always begged for them to give him one last chance. Of course, they did at first. Charlie has been back home several times, each shorter in duration than the last. Every time without fail, it all starts again. The neighborhood cats with gouged out eyes showing up in his toy chest. My dad's razors found dropped on the baby slide in the park across the street. Mom's vitamins replaced by bits of dishwashing tablets. My parents are hesitant now, using last chances sparingly. They say his disorder makes him charming. Okay. Charming where? Makes it easy for him to fake normalcy and to trick the doctors who care for him into thinking he is ready for rehabilitation. rehabilitation. That I will just have to put up with my boredom if it means staying safe from him. I hate it when Charlie has to go away. It makes me have to pretend to be good into his back. Okay, lowkey, I don't really get that one, but I'm assuming his brother is like... You know what? You guys read and let me know, because I don't know if I got that one right. Anyways, next one. Third story called Hell. There was no pearly gate. The only reason I knew I was in a cave was because I had just passed the entrance. The rock wall rose behind me with no ceiling in sight. I knew this was it. This was what religion talked about, what man feared. I had just entered the gate to hell. I felt the presence of the cave as if it was a living, breathing creature. The stench of rotten flesh overwhelmed me. Then there was a voice. It came from inside and all around. Inside and all around. Welcome. Who are you? I asked, trying to keep my composure. You know, the thing answered. I did know. What do you know, bro? You are the devil. I stuttered. Quick, oh, he stuttered. Wait. You are the devil. I stuttered, quickly losing my composure. Why me? I've lived as good as I could. The silence took over the space as my words died out. It seemed like an hour went by before the response came. What do you expect? The voice was penetrating but patient. I don't know. I never believed any of this, I uttered. Is that why I'm here? Silence. I continued. They say the greatest trick you ever pulled was convincing the world you don't exist. No, the greatest trick I ever pulled was convincing the world that there is an alternative. There is no God? I shivered. The cave trembled with the words, I am God. That's okay, for real though. That's kind of dope. No, that's a lot of charisma right there. That's imagine just yeah. I like that one. Pretty good. Next story. He stood against my window. Okay, I'm in a closet, so there's no window, so I'm not scared. But also, I am in the closet where a lot of things do happen in the closet. But you know what? At least there's no window, because this story is about windows, right? So, we're good here. He stood against my window. I don't know why I looked up, but when I did, I saw him there. He stood against my window. His forehead rested against the glass, and his eyes were still and light, and he smiled a lipstick red, cartoonish grin. Ugh, I hate grins and smiles. And he just stood there in the window. My wife was upstairs sleeping. My son was in his crib, and I couldn't move. I froze and watched him looking past me through the glass. Oh, please, no. His smile never moved, but he put a hand up and slid it down the glass, watching me, with matted hair and yellow skin and face through the window. I couldn't do anything. I just stayed there, frozen, feet still in the bushes I was pruning, looking into my home. He stood against my window. I don't know, bro. Maybe you should call the cops? Because... So he's gardening outside, and he saw a guy inside his house. Yeah, maybe you should. Yeah. Anyways, you know what? At least I don't go outside, so I don't have to deal with looking into my house and see somebody staring back at me from my house that I don't know. So that's good, right? And I don't really look out the window from inside my house anyways, because it's really hot outside, and like I have the curtains drawn, you know. And I'm in a closet right now, so it's like there's no windows around here, so I don't have that problem. Next story. This one is called So I Lost My Phone. See, the title alone is already scary because I can't function without my phone. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I can't. I can't. I can be without my laptop, but not my phone. My phone is very important to me. Last night, a friend rushed me out of the house to catch the opening act at a local bar's music night. After a few drinks, I realized my phone wasn't in my pocket. I would freak out. I checked the table we were sitting at, the bar, the bathrooms, and after no luck, I used my friend's phone to call mine. After 2 rings, someone answered, gave out a loud, raspy giggle, and hung up. They didn't answer again. I eventually gave it up as a lost cause and headed home. I found my phone laying on my nightstand, right where I left it. First of all, why are you going out without your phone? Like, the first thing I check when I go out is, do I have my phone with me? That's how important my phone is to me. Maybe that's a problem, right? Maybe that's a problem, but why are you going out without your phone? You're weird. This person is weird, okay? Second of all, how do you even make it to the bar, have drinks, realize you don't have your phone? Like, how do you make it that far without your phone? Okay, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm the problem. Right? Next story. The Black Lagoon. To celebrate their first year in university, 6 friends went camping in the wilderness. After driving for several hours from the nearest town, they discovered a lagoon nestled beside a cliff ideal for diving. They set up a camp in the woods nearby and spent the evening swimming in the warm, clear water. As the sun sunk below the trees, one of the friends went up to the highest point on the cliff and jumped off, while the other 5 watched. Their laughter slowly subsided as they waited for him to surface. It only took half a minute for them to dive in after their friend, struggling and spluttering, not spluttering. Among the reeds in the lagoon, they searched hopelessly for him. Finally, they disentangled themselves and came up, but they never saw their friend again. Heartbroken, they returned to the city and passed a strange and lonely year in which their only solace was the knowledge that they would return to the lagoon to honor the anniversary of their friend's death. A year passed, and they returned to the lagoon as a memorial. But as they approached, they saw their friend standing there, head bowed. Excitingly, they called to him and began running towards him, but he didn't turn. As they got closer, they called more desperately, but still to no avail. With joy, they ran towards him, but stopped dead when they saw not 1, but 5 crosses on the water side. You know, this is why I'm a homebody. Yeah. I love nature, right? I love to explore. I would love to go hiking if the weather is right. I would love to go to this lagoon that they're at, right? But you know, I feel like my survival instinct is like it does not exist, right? I do not like to survive. If I have to be put in a surviving situation, I would just myself, because that's too much work. I'm not built for that, right? So yeah, so in this situation, I would just stay home. You know, you know what being lazy and staying home does to you is that it protects you, right? Like, it protects you. But in this story, um, to those who are confused with my reading, they all died, right? When the friend jumped in first, and they all jumped in after him to find him, they all died. That's why there's 5 crosses on the lake. So, I mean, that's how I interpreted it. I mean, go ahead and still explore lagoons, but be careful, y'all. It's crazy out there. You don't know what's in the water. You see, that's the thing. You don't know what's in the water, so don't do it. Why would you? Anyways, next story. 1001. The Moores are having a baby. I glanced up from the table, surprised. They got the okay? My husband nodded. The paperwork came in today, so I heard. He lowered his eyes in sorrow. Poor Joanna. She's only 53, I breathed. A bit of sweat dripped down from my brow, landing on the cool concrete floor of the bunker. I tried to remind myself to be thankful for this place, this concrete tomb, but it grew more difficult each day. What the fuck? Perpetuum Technologies, the company that sprung up just in time for the largest nuclear war the world had ever seen, had designed the vault to sustain 1,000 people for as long as it took the surface to be inhabitable again. Exactly 1,000 people. Poor Joanna indeed. See, we were just talking about survival. Yeah, nuclear war, I'm the first one out. I honestly, I hate living in inconvenience. Maybe that's very privileged of me to be saying that, but if I have to like live based off of like just things, I don't think I would be able to handle the boredom of it all. Like, what do you do in a day? In a day, at least I like watch dramas, I work, I write, I read, I do all these other stuff, you know, I talk with friends. But if the world is ending and there's nobody around, what do? You just go about your day and survive. That sounds exhausting. So yeah. And when would the world be cured? You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So I'm not gonna be around to wait for that to happen. I would just be gone and that's it. And that would be great. Next story. Okay, it's getting really hot in this closet. But if I turn on the fan, the mic picks it up and you guys gonna hear the noise and I don't want that. So I'm just gonna have to suffer through this. Next story title is A Quiet Cabin Deep in the Woods. My wife was shaking me quietly. I looked around the cabin. The girls must have gone to bed. The fire had burned down to embers. My glass of scotch was still in my hand. Something is tapping on the porch. Then I heard it too. I grabbed my axe and lit the lantern. I opened the door expecting a raccoon or a skunk, but instead found a boy of about 10 years old. He stared at me, petrified for a moment, then bolted down the path through the woods. I gave chase. Why are you chasing a boy through the woods in the middle of the night? He was losing me, but I heard him tumble to the ground. I leapt on top of him in a rage. Why were you knocking on my porch? Okay, let me redo that. That was a little bit. Why were you knocking on my porch? I screamed. My uncles told me to, he stammered. I was no longer angry, but confused. But why? I asked. To get you out of the cabin. But oh, okay. Damn, that's crazy. Yeah. You see, if he wasn't chasing the boy through the damn woods, he would have been there to protect his family. See, this is why you don't chase little kids through the woods in the middle of the night. Like, I don't know about y'all, I don't ever open my door unless somebody called me, was like, "Hey Kelly, I'm here, can you open the door?" Then I go open the door, right? But then if people just knocking on my door or ringing my doorbell, I don't respond to that. We live in an age where people just text and call people when they're at their place, right? So no, like I would just ignore that. Like, again, probably very privileged of me to be saying all of this. Just ignore all the dangers. Like, what if somebody needed help and like I'm just ignoring it? I could have saved someone. I get it, right? I get it. But honestly, I would have to double check in order to even open the door. Like, just like a tiny crack and be like, yeah, can I help you? But I wouldn't be opening doors to people. Like, if you're at my house, just text me, call me. I'll come out and open the door for you. Otherwise, I'm not I'm not looking at my door. I pretend I didn't hear anything, right? Just to protect my peace, because that's how much I'm afraid of strangers, right? Like, I don't want to engage in activities where I'm in danger and can't get out of. So, in order to protect myself, so why don't I just ignore everything, right? Live life like it's just me in the world. Be safe. Be safe, y'all. Be safe. Right? Next story. First words. Any day now, she'll say her first words. My wife and I have been playfully betting on what she'll say first, mama or daddy. I can hear my wife crooning over and over while she feeds her mama's little girl. Mamas love you so much. Sometimes she's not even subtle about it. Say mama. Come on, mama. I don't mind it though. I still believe I'll win. When we first brought her home, she would scream and cry, and nothing my wife would say could calm her down. But I knew just how to hold her to help her fall asleep. Our daughter was a daddy's girl. My wife needed all the handicaps she could get. This is a sweet little story. I sit our daughter in her chair, and my wife and I begin babbling like chickens. Mama, daddy, say mama. Who's daddy's baby? I pulled the gag from our little girl's mouth. Whoa. Okay. Please, what do you want from me? Please let me go. My wife's smile falls on her face. With a heavy heart, I put the gag back in as the girl starts to scream. I take her back to the room, locking her in and shutting the lights out. When I return, I find my wife crying. It's okay, honey, I tell her. The next one will be better. I promise. Why are y'all kidnapping kids on the streets? Like, is this the same? Wait, the other one was like a boy running through the woods. You know. All right. Don't kidnap kids, okay? Like, even if you want kids that bad, don't go around kidnapping people's kids. That's not nice. That's very rude and mean of you. Okay? Next story. Timekeeper. He had been given the watch on his 10th birthday. It was an ordinary gray plastic wristwatch in every respect except for the fact that it was counting down. That is all the time you have left in the world, son. Use it wisely. I would not accept the watch. Anyways, and indeed he did. As the watch ticked away, the boy, now a man, lived life to the fullest. He climbed mountains and swam oceans. He talked and laughed and lived and loved. The man was never afraid, for he knew exactly how much time he had left. Eventually, the watch began its final countdown. The old man stood looking over everything he had done, everything he had built. 5. He shook his hands with his old business partner, the man who had long been his friend and confidant. 4. His dog came and licked his hand, earning a pat on the head for its companionship. 3. He hugged his son, knowing that he had been a good father. 2, he kissed his wife on the forehead one last time. 1, the old man smiled and closed his eyes. Then nothing happened. The watch beeped once and turned off. The man stood there, very much alive. You would think that in a moment he would have been overjoyed. Instead, for the first time in his life, the man was scared. This is interesting because the question here is, would you want to know how much time you have left on earth, or would you want to know like the countdown, right? Like he has a watch that his dad gave him and it was a countdown to his last moment. But obviously the horror twist here is that it countdown, it just shut off and then nothing happened. He's still alive, which that's effed up. Like why was his dad lying to him? That's crazy. But maybe his dad meant something else, but he took it literally, like, oh, this is the only time you have. Now he took it literally. He was like, yeah, time I have. But instead, it's like a deeper meaning, which if the story was longer, I would, I need more context clues than that. But back to the question, would you want to know how much time you have left? Personally, I don't. Even though I'm really into psychic readings, tarot readings, all of these spiritual things, right? Just because I think they're very like fun and interesting to me. But I would not want to know how much time I have left, just because then there's this pressure on you to achieve certain things or to live a certain way just because you have so and so time left. And I think that's a lot of pressure. I just want to live not knowing many things, right? People say ignorant is bliss. Sometimes it is. You don't have to know how much time you have left. Why do you want to know that? Just live. Everybody function on their own timeline, and I just want to say that whatever you do, whatever you're doing, whatever life stage you're at, it's okay, right? Don't compare yourself to everybody else, because y'all don't live the same life. So go through life at your own pace. That's all that matters. As long as you're happy, that's all it matters. That conclude the last story of the article. There were like some few short story which I kind of like skip over. So once again, I'm linking the article down in the description. So if you want to read through all of the stories, you're welcome to. This is the first video of the channel. I want to talk a little bit about expectations. I think moving forward, this channel will just be me reading and reacting to mostly horror stories, since I love listening to horror stories, and there are a whole bunch of horror stories channel, right, on Spotify, on YouTube. So I don't want to do something similar. I want it to be a little bit different, where I react to them. Like I read to you guys and I talk to you guys. Sometimes it can come off as annoying, which, look, I do apologize if that is not what you want. If you just want me to read the story only, to be honest, that's not the channel to do that, unless the story is like crazily like grabbing, right? Like I keep reading it to the point where it's like, wow, I can't stop reading. Then I won't make any comment into like the very end. Of course, I'm focusing a lot more on short stories. So if you're interested in hearing short stories, just to relax for the night, or like finding something to watch while you play your game or something like that, I don't know. I usually listen to horror podcasts when I'm studying or playing games or like knitting and stuff like that. So yeah, so hopefully you put me on. In the future, I would love to expand to other genres. So more like, I also would like to read smut, because I think that's a very interesting thing to be reacting to. reading smut and then cringing, and then y'all can cringe with me. And or we can read like sad story, tragics, comedy, I don't know, everything in the genre, everything in the rainbow. For starters, it's gonna be horror stories, and I think the core of this channel is gonna be horror stories or thrillers, short stories. I'll do long ones when I get there, but for now, just short little stories, just for the night, because everybody needs to sleep somehow. And wait, do people listen to scary stories to go to sleep? I don't know, right? Put me on, put me off. I don't know. It's been a fun time just talking to you guys, even though it's just the camera and me. To be honest, the stories in here, they aren't that bad. They aren't like crazy scary. I thought the closet would make it like more scary, but then my setup is like very lit up, so I'm not really that scared. Hopefully I can find stories where even if I feel very protected in my closet with all the lightings and stuff, I still feel a little shiver, right? Like a little, oh shoot, that they're in my walls, right? When I'm supposed to be in the walls, but then they're actually in my walls, and I'm in your walls. Hopefully that will come. I would do a lot of fun things, have cool stories from here and there as well. I don't want to talk too much since I'm just gonna be rambling into I have nothing else to say. Thank you for watching my first video ever, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.